Well, in the most recent batch on DC Universe Infinite, DC revives a favorite team of mine in a way that really falls flat for me, but another new ensemble book might be becoming a new favorite of mine. I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. Welcome to Essential Issues Weekly, where I talk about DC Comics 1 week after their release on the Ultra tier of the DC Universe Infinite subscription service. In each installment, I pick an assortment of comics to talk about as a DC fan and also explore what, if anything, they have to say about the essential issues of real life. Now, warning, full spoilers for everything that I talk about. That's your first and only warning. Right now, we're taking a look at comics originally released to the Ultra tier on April 2nd, 2025, and originally published March 5th, 2025. I did read Batgirl, which I enjoyed, but there wasn't a whole lot of story going on there. And same with JSA. Still enjoying the ride on both of those books, but I didn't really have any comments to make. Rather, this week, I'm just going to keep this probably pretty short and say a few things about, first off, Secret Six #1. Now, I'm a big fan of the Secret Six series that was written by Gail Simone, that spun out of the Villains United event during the 52 series, if you can remember that far back. But I loved the Secret Six. Gail Simone took these kind of like fifth tier characters and took me inside of them very quickly and showed me how capable they were and what was driving them and making them really interesting. It was very character-driven stuff. I really enjoyed that. And so these characters that I kind of had heard of suddenly became characters that I thought were really, really cool. That's my background with the Secret Six kind of brand, and I really that is one of my favorite comic book runs of all time. Now, I wasn't expecting that in this new run on the Secret Six. In fact, I was wondering what DNA, if any, it would have in common. If you look at the cover, Deadshot's on the cover, front and center, and in the background, Catman can be seen as well. And those were two mainstays of the Gail Simone Secret Six run. But then you've also got Dreamer, Superman John Kent. I'm always going to think of him as kind of Superboy. And then I guess his character's name now is Gossamer, but Jay Nakamura, who is John Kent's boyfriend, and then also Black Alice are on the cover as well. Well, this first issue does not have Deadshot front and center. It really focuses in on John Kent, and then begins to expand out to deal with Jay, who is his boyfriend, and then Dreamer as well. Now, the first thing that I kind of noticed that maybe kind of raised an eyebrow, and I didn't even look at the cover. I just started reading the book, and suddenly this character appeared, then this character, and then this character, and I noticed, so like we've got these three characters are all, the three things they have in common is that they're fifth tier characters in my mind. That I don't really find interesting. Okay, well that can make sense for a Secret Six book. That's kind of like the lineage of this book. But they're also conspicuously in my mind all LGBTQ plus, whatever the string of letters is now, characters. And I'm like, okay, well, is that just happenstance, or is this being done? I mean, just the concentration there was noteworthy. And so already I was kind of wondering, is there some kind of an agenda going on here? Is this kind of like a book for the fans of these characters to kind of come to, who really value having LGBTQ plus characters in their books? Is this kind of like the place for them to go? And they're kind of migrating them from, wherever else in the DC universe. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, these three characters were significantly involved in Absolute Power, the crossover. John Kent was taken over by the Brainiac Queen in a way that I thought, oh my gosh, this could pave the way for something so new and interesting. That basically all got reversed. I don't think he's even dealing with PTSD because of that, which it seemed like at the time that's where they were going to be heading, and then I guess not. So what is there that's interesting about these characters? I don't really get a sense of what drives them. Now, Jay Nakamura would maybe be the exception, because Dreamer played a role in his mind in Jay losing people that he very much cares about. And so there's definitely a lot of conflict going on between these two characters. But even so, I don't know, it's a distracting element for me, just because I'm not seeing human sexuality the way that the writers of these characters are likely seeing them. There is a sense in which we're meant to root for the relationship between John and Jay romantically to work out, and that we are meant to see Dreamer as a character who should have their pronoun affirmed by others. That's kind of like a brief moment here. That's not like really hammering you over the head with it, but it's still there. And when I see that stuff in entertainment, I don't grumble. I don't make a stink about it or whatever. But because I'm coming from a very different place than the writers are likely coming from on this, it's kind of jarring to me. It makes it difficult for me to enter into the story and care about the things they view it the way they want me to see it, care about the things they want me to care about, as opposed to the more universal types of things that superheroes are normally kind of dealing with, the evils that are universally agreed on to be things that like superheroes should be taking care of, and right and wrong normally is appealing to a much broader audience, and like having and sticking to those things that are universally agreed upon to be right or wrong, good or not good. But I think the real problem with me with this book right now is that it's not helping me care about these characters. It's not giving me a real sense of what drives them yet, and it also isn't presenting an evil really strongly enough that I can get behind feeling like these guys gotta take care of that evil. That's what Gail Simone always did brilliantly in her writing in Secret Six and in other books too. Man, she writes jacked up villains that you're just like, ooh, man, we got to do something about that as soon as possible. So you're kind of rooting for these characters to kind of get their crap together, figure it out, or they're going to be totally overmatched. And there's kind of like some bickering and stuff that's going on between the characters, but the evil they're up against, I'm not feeling the intensity of it enough to really care and to really root for them. I'm just kind of becoming a little bit impatient with the problems happening, the bickering going on between the characters. So the combo of not being able to connect with the perspective that the writers have on LGBTQ plus stuff, and them being fifth tier characters that I don't feel like I'm being taken in to their motivations in a way that I can relate to and root for with them, and not having like an evil that's like, oh my gosh, we really got to deal with this. That combination is just leaving me in a place where I don't care. And like the worst part of it is, although the cover has Deadshot, the largest character, front and center, and at least Catman in the background there, neither of those characters appear until the very last page in like a splash panel. I'm like, oh. Which obviously they're being included here for fans of the previous run of Secret Six. But for me, I needed them in on page 1, or at least page 3, not on the last page. Now, I haven't completely given up on this book because I do care enough about the concept, and I do have some investment in Deadshot and Catman just because of how pulled in I was by Gail Simone in her run. But I'm giving this one more issue, and then I think I'm out. So that's Secret Six #1. Sadly, despite my attachment to the brand, it is so far not working for me. Okay, and the other book that I want to mention that really is working for me, although it hasn't been from the get-go, that's Justice League: The Atom Project #3. Now, this is kind of, in a somewhat clever way, bringing together the various characters of the DC Universe that have either Atom in their name or they have something to do with atoms in their powers. And that's the two Atoms, so Ray Palmer and, oh gosh, I knew his name one of the last times I talked about this, but the other guy who became, Ryan Choi. So those two guys, they're the shrinking guys. They are working in the Justice League Watchtower to try and help the powers that were mixed up by the big Absolute Power event to get returned to their proper owners. And Captain Atom has kind of been a key part of their troubleshooting of this situation, and he's been a grudging but willing participant because the experimentations they've been doing to try and make this all work out have involved him, and they've involved inflicting great amounts of pain on him. And his origin story is already about being part of a government experiment that really messed up his life. So he's just really like a downtrodden kind of hero who's been experimented on and is now continuing to be experimented on. And the story has been jumping back and forth a little bit in a way that's a little bit difficult for me to follow at times, between like times where he's at odds with the atoms and on the run, but then also times where he not only has his powers back because of their work, but and then some. Like at this point in issue 3, and this is one of the coolest things here, is Captain Atom is starting to become a little bit more of, gosh, Dr. Manhattan. Now, for those who don't know, the Watchmen series was originally going to feature a collection of characters that were part of the Charlton Comics? Anyway, there was a comic book company bought up by DC who then just kind of imported their characters because of parallel reality type stuff was the way that they explained it. But all of these characters were from this same publishing brand, and one of them was The Question, the original Blue Beetle, or no, actually it was the second Blue Beetle. Maybe it was the first. I don't know. Both of them, I'm pretty sure. Blue Beetle, and Captain Atom was another one. And Alan Moore didn't get the rights to use those characters for Watchmen, probably because he wanted to do some crazy stuff with them, which he ended up doing with original characters that he created. But you can still see which characters were originally going to be what. Like Rorschach was originally The Question. Night Owl was originally Blue Beetle. Well, Dr. Manhattan was originally Captain Atom. So there's the brief history lesson. But beginning with the New 52, as they've kind of rejiggered this character a bit, they've played with his power set, and more I can tell that DC as a publisher has been flirting with the idea of shifting Captain Atom to be more and more like Dr. Manhattan. Not in his personality and like seeing time all at once, that kind of stuff, but just like crazy levels of power, so that there's kind of a question of, is there anything that he cannot do? That is the road that Captain Atom is moving toward right now. Because as he's been experimented on and as kind of things have settled down after the experiments, the power set that he's left with is not only his original power set, but he has the ability to take to like extract from other metahumans their powers, to retain them for himself, or to empower, to give greater power, to enhance the powers of other metahumans. Now, Nathaniel Atom, who is Captain Atom, he is really concerned about this because he sees, like, in the wake of what Amanda Waller did in Absolute Power, he's like, everybody is going to want to either get control of me or to be able to replicate what I can do. He realizes, I am way too powerful. Nobody should have this kind of power. At the very least, no one else should be able to replicate this or take control of me. So he is seeking to get rid of these powers. And the Atoms, as we find out in this issue, Ryan and Ray, are both trying to help him with that, even though he's not trusting them, understandably, because they put him through some horrible pain without really telling him how bad it was going to be at times. And so him being at odds with them being kind of culpable, I mean, like, and morally flawed, especially Ray Palmer. In some ways, I'm getting vibes of the ultimate Marvel Reed Richards, who more and more was just cold and calculating and not caring about people and ultimately became a villain. I'm getting a little bit of those kinds of Reed Richards vibes from Ray Palmer right now. And I don't mind it too much. He's not fully going into the villain zone. He just seems to be so single-minded that he's not being considerate. And I like that kind of flaw. It doesn't mar him as a hero. It just really gives him a flaw. He's going for the good. He's aiming for the good, but he's ending up hurting people along the way. And oh my gosh, how many times can we as Christians find ourselves in that position? And so that's a good thing for us to just kind of reflect on as we're reading a book like this. But anyway, I love these kinds of stories that DC can tell from time to time. They've done this with The Flash, Wally West, with the Speed Force really coming into an understanding of that, where the characters, and Green Lantern 2 has had these kinds of stories, where the power level gets so great that the question is not, can they do something? The question is, should they do something? And it gets kind of scary because they realize how much burden they bear on, and how much of a difference it's going to make for them to choose the right course of action, the virtuous course of action, the morally right course of action, when that is sometimes not clear, or a very difficult choice to make because of the personal cost relationally and different things like that. So The Spectre, another great example of this. So I love this kind of thing going on in DC Comics. Very cool to see the Atom heading down this direction. I hope this continues. As of this point, I mean, there's also some weird stuff going on, like as they're trying to settle down different metahumans and their powers and make them safe. One of them, poor guy, is Al Rothstein, but that's Atom Smasher, who was originally Nuklon in Infinity Incorporated, but he renamed himself Atom Smasher in the Jeff Johns JSA era. And so I've got a bit of a soft spot for him. Didn't think he was super cool, but I mean, he grew on me because I loved that book so much and all the other characters in it. But man, poor guy, as a part of him trying to get his powers back, he got all mutated. He looks like a horrible mutated mess. It's really tragic to see the state that he's in. And they're trying to help him not just get his powers back, but also get that mess fixed. And so there's just some great, tragic, morally complex elements going on in here, and then the super big power levels that I love to see played with in DC Comics. So very happy at this point. I think it's been growing on me. A part of it is the Atom Project keeps jumping back and forth between, like, okay, this is now, this is then, this is the future coming up. Maybe. I can't remember if they've done all three of those, but there's enough of that kind of jumping around that I'm having trouble seeing the timeline in my head of all these different events. But even so, really enjoying what's going on as of Justice League, the Atom Project #3. All right, so I talked longer than I was planning on, as is usually the case, but my ring selection for this week is absolutely the blue ring representing hope. Even though Secret Six fell flat for me, the Atom Project is just like reinvigorating me and reminding me of the stuff I love about comic books. Can't wait to see what comes next in the Atom Project, and who knows, maybe Secret Six #2 will get things moving in a better direction. As I said earlier, I'm still enjoying Batgirl as of #4 and JSA as of the most recent issue, so no complaints there. I'm feeling pretty positive after the comics that I read this week, and I think those are all of my thoughts on comic books for now. As always, love to get your thoughts in the comments below regarding these comics I didn't talk about, anything else you want to bring up. I'm totally open to that. I also hope you check out christiangeekcentral.com. You can get this content collected as a monthly audio podcast if you would like. And there's also the weekly Christian Geek Central podcast there for you, and tons more content made for you as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services.